everybody. Well, it is that time. Let's get to a Q&A, shall we? If it's your first time checking out this channel or one of these Q&A videos, smash that subscribe button, click the bell, what the hell, so that way you're notified of future videos. Like and share this video, and yeah, all that stuff. Follow me on Twitter, so that way when I do these Q&As in the future, you can submit your questions there when I ask for them, and I might be able to answer them on video. So let's go ahead and get started. Stephen Hilton starts us off today. Should the NFL try the same approach the NBA has done in order to avoid any further COVID cases from happening? Might be too hard and impossible at this point to really adjust and change stream. You have to hope that these isolated pockets of breakouts are just isolated at that. I've always been a little concerned about the overarching philosophy and approach of why are you bothering doing the road games, having teams travel, and then playing in largely empty stadiums. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's probably too late to go all the way there right now. That would require probably a stoppage of the season for a couple of weeks. That would just be killer. So they probably have to plow ahead and hope that it works out. Peter Jedra asks, does Gardner Minshew look a bit like Fitzpatrick 2.0? Bring a hot hand for a couple of games, tease you to think you got something, then come back to remind people why he was a 6th-round pick. Bingo. Minshew will always be the guy that you'll look at and you say, he can start in the league, and he can, but you only get to a certain level with him, and you'll always be looking to replace him. That's Fitzpatrick. That's Gardner Minshew. Dave G. If you had to keep one of the three, which one would you keep and why? Trubisky, Ryan Pace, and Matt Nagy. Mitch would obviously be a goner, and to me, Pace would be a goner as well. Too many notable busts and too many notable misses with high premium draft picks. Nagy, out of those three, if I had to choose one, I would have to choose Nagy out of those three. But I would just shove all of them the door myself. Dane the Funky Homo Sapien, easy for me to say. What is the best starting lineup for a basketball team you could come up with, alive or dead, any era? And I'm assuming you mean any players available all time, blah, 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 blah. Best starting five. Well, obviously, I'm going to take Jordan at the 2. That's like a doy pick. Probably will take LeBron at the 3. I'll take Bird at... shit. I'd probably take Bird at the 4, Hakeem at the 5, and maybe Magic at the point. There's a lot of different spins I can put on it. Like, you want to be able to defend. You want to have guys that can play without the basketball, that can facilitate. But, you could certainly... make an argument depending on the style, depending on the time, like those types of things got to be factored in. But that would be one crew that I would go with. Now, if I stuck a little true to my Bulls loyalties, I would choose Pippen over LeBron because of the defensive end and some of the other things. But LeBron is LeBron, and he's an all-time great, so I would keep him in there. And if you're the concert-going type, what's the best concert you've ever been to? I'm not really the concert-going type, not huge into music necessarily like that. Worst concert I've ever been to, what was it, the Big Effin' Show was in 2000, was up in Wisconsin. You had like Coal Dust, or not Coal Dust. It's been a long day, sorry. Cold Chamber, Seven Dust, Slipknot, Hatebreed. My God, who all was there? Was it Disturbed? That show sucked. That was so bad. Friends I was with back when I was like 19 were trying to tell me how much it rocked. Only thing I remember rocking me was the fact that I couldn't hear for the next 2 days because we were like 2 rows away from the speakers. That sucked. The only thing fun about it was crowd surfing. Chris S. Krieger asks, Jets or Giants, which team will go longer without a win this season? I'll pick the Jets because they've got the Adam Gase and Greg Williams handicap to overcome, and that is significant. Zach Powers, I've been a Lions fan my whole life, and I'm tired of rooting for a losing franchise. Am I wrong to look for another team to root for? I go, I've seen a lot of losing Bears football too, so I get it and I understand it. Me personally, I've chosen my lot in life, and I can't change that, no matter how much I might want to sometimes or be tempted to. That said, you should do what makes you happy. And at some point in time as a fan, it's not necessarily about jumping bandwagons or anything like that, but if an organization has consistently demonstrated a lack of willingness to care enough of crap about winning to actually do something to positively affect their trajectory as an organization, you should feel the right to sell your services to the highest bidder as a fan. So I would never betray my Bears. I just couldn't do it. But You feel empowered to do so. I certainly could understand and support that decision. If they don't care, why should you? If they don't want to win, why should you care whether they win or lose at this point? Barbarino 69420. Are the Steelers still phonies? Did I say the Steelers were phonies this year? I don't remember that. Thought I picked them to win like 10 or 11 games and make the playoffs. I mean, maybe you're referencing something from last year. I don't know. Like, you'd have to clarify for me because I don't think I've called the Steelers phony this year. Coliseum 1722. Are the NBA playoffs boring this year? In isolated pockets, you've had some really good, interesting games, but playoffs as a whole, yes. Yes, they have been. They've been very bad. Paulie Paul 412. What are your thoughts on Kyle Trask as an NFL prospect? Haven't even started thinking about college football or anything like that, so I have no clue. Couldn't tell you really yet. Honestly, I couldn't. And there's too much other sports going on right now for me to even really honestly think about it or start worrying about that. Haven't even gotten to the NBA draft yet to even start thinking about the NFL draft. Drake Maddox 28. Thoughts on your QB position going forward? Any college QBs that are a realistic option for next offseason? I'm assuming you're talking about my team, the Bears, and not your team, the Browns. Thoughts on my team's QB position going forward? They're screwed. Probably more of the same. Ain't nothing changing, ain't nothing fixing, ain't nothing getting better. It's just realistic. There are lots of guys that can realistically draft. Will any of them be that dude? No. Christian Mingle, who is the greatest undrafted player of all time? Greatest undrafted player of all time. I'm gonna miss somebody. I know I'm going to. This is what happens when I type down these questions. I really don't sit down and think about them. So I'm gonna say like a Tony Romo type or somebody like that, and I am totally missing the boat there. I can't remember, was Unitas undrafted? Or was he just a late round pick like a Bart Starr was or Len Dawson was? So again, forgive me. I'm sure I'm wrong. Black Space Gaming. When the Vikings finish with less than 5 wins, do they fire Zimmer despite the contract extension? It'd have to be tempting. That team, even though I'm recording this Sunday night and they did happen to win in week 4, like they also beat a bad Bob Texans team and they were still only 1-3. If they finish with less than 5 wins, then yeah, he's got to go regardless of extension. That's just unacceptable. Splash Bro Kieran, who do you think needs the NBA Finals MVP more? LeBron James or Anthony Davis? Fascinating question. Because I think Anthony Davis gets a lot of validation out of winning that Finals MVP. I think Anthony Davis answers a lot of critics and doubters about whether he has that true alpha dog mentality and whether you could really be like the A or B option that you build a championship team around. So certainly, you could make a strong argument that he needs it. But reality is I actually think LeBron needs it more. Because now you're talking about at age, 35, if he wins his 4th championship, now he will have done it, and AD will be the one that carried more of the load, if that makes sense. So it'll be like another championship with an asterisk for LeBron James. So I could actually make an argument. I really think LeBron needs the Finals MVP more than AD does, even though for Davis, I could certainly make a strong argument why it's important for him. Lachi00, what would it realistically take for LeBron to pass Jordan on the all-time list? Because I don't think he can with his 3-6 or 4-6 finals record and the decision to leave for South Beach. Even if I took some of that other stuff out, it's just I don't think overall the analytics back it up. The pure dominance at their peak, it doesn't match up. You look at playoffs and specifically finals performances, like as individual players, outside of the other factors, like it just doesn't match up. I can never sit there and refer to LeBron as the GOAT when he was getting his shit handed to him by J.J. Barea in the 2011 NBA Finals. Turn around and shoot over the damn dude. Like in six finals games in that series. But what did he score? 18 total points? Like, no. Like, I could do other videos and probably have done other videos, and we'll do other videos explaining, like, the differences. Like, LeBron is too passive to be the GOAT. He's got too many times where he defers to others. And again, I think, like, an AD winning a finals MVP actually hinders the argument instead of helping the argument. Disco Stern asks, has being a YouTuber changed your life, and if so, how? Yes, absolutely. I get people that actually care enough about my opinions to sometimes tune in and click on some of my videos, whether it's on this channel for sports and such, or the other channel, OTR Essential, for professional wrestling. So my life has changed in that. I get to interact with people from all over the country and all over the world that otherwise I would have absolutely no business having any interaction with. Excuse me, and it's been pretty cool. My last notable Super Series girlfriend I met via YouTube, via online, and it ended up leading to me moving out here to Virginia, where I remain to this day, even though the relationship does not remain. So it has changed my life significantly in a lot of ways, and it's cool. What makes you different or disinterested in hockey? I wouldn't say it's disinterested. I wouldn't even say it's indifferent. I think it's just a conscientious decision. I've been that there's only so much time in the day, in a week, in a month, a year that I have, and there are only so many sports that I can do videos about. There are only so many things that I can talk about. There are only so many things I can invest any energy and interest in. So hockey, unfortunately, was always a sport as a kid that I had the least amount of passion behind. So it kind of has fallen by the wayside as an adult, and especially in the last several years. So that's why. GM5 Collector. I traded Mike Evans and Julio Jones for Robert Woods, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and Van Jefferson, and a first-round pick. It's Dynasty League. Was that a good call? You raped him! Like you Big Bend him. Like that was spectacular. Especially when you talk about Dynasty stuff, like long-term. Like you got to take that deal every time and hope it pans out long-term because you got a lot back in return. Chris Joseph. I know it's early, but do you think the Cowboys made a mistake in hiring Mike McCarthy? They're 1-3 as of this recording. It ain't looking good early. But thankfully for them, they're in the NFC least, so 6 wins ought to get the job done. One shot you die, 55. With 4 different teams getting at least one case of COVID, is it time to be concerned about the NFL and how they're handling the pandemic this season? Yes, a little bit, but I don't think it's time to panic. But certainly time to be a little concerned about it. Obsidian Mist. Are there players, staff throwing games on the Atlanta Falcons for them to be in position to get Georgia high school boy Trevor Lawrence? And it's known to all but Matt Ryan. Loving this conspiracy. Why else would Dan Quinn not be fired? Great question. Why wouldn't he be fired at this point? That's true. Like maybe the thought is let's tank, and the best way to tank is actually keep Dan Quinn as head coach. To the other part, though, no, I don't think so. Joe Fannington, why doesn't the NBA rig the draft for the Knicks anymore? We all know it's rigged anyways. I think it's embarrassing. Adam Silver and David Stern have allowed the owners to ruin an important franchise. The reality is I think it's because of James Dolan. They don't want to sit there and help James Dolan because they know James Dolan is an ass clown. That's what I think it is. Craig HNIC, is Michael Jackson the most famous celebrity to ever live? I guess that's truly hard to qualify, but he would certainly be on the list at the very, 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 very top, yes. Joseph Moran, as a Packers fan, do you think the Packers are a contender? Yes. Illogical reasoning. Would Bo Jackson be considered sports' greatest what if in terms of a career ruined by injuries or even a freak one? Or would it be more apt to say a player dying before even playing a second pro sport could be considered an even greater what if? Like if we were comparing Bo Jackson to somebody like Len Bias, both incredible what if stories. I think it hurts even more when you think about Bo Jackson, because we actually got a few years of seeing what Bo knows about baseball and what Bo knows about football. So with Len Bias, an example like that totally sucks. That's a great what if, but I think Bo is even more of the what if. Like, what if he had only played baseball? Or what if he had only played football and actually played 16 games a year? What if he never got that massive hip injury? I would say he would be the one. Mizaka, what's the point of the draft, Jets drafting Trevor Lawrence, if it'll be this offense around him? Wouldn't it make more sense to trade Jamal prior to the draft to grab Becton and CeeDee Lamb? Can't disagree with either point. Danny Boy, in your opinion, why does LeBron catch so much heat when he was playing in the East and going to the finals, but Giannis won back-to-back MVPs but can't make it there, even though he plays in that same Eastern Conference? It's a good point, but I think you also got to look at it as LeBron went to the finals once in the East for his original run with the Cavs, then went chasing championships in South Beach, then went and came back to Cleveland to chase championships there. So different circumstances, different situations. You can say, well, you can only beat who's available to play, and that certainly is true. But, there is no doubt, no question that LeBron, throughout the peak years of his career, throughout his career in the East and staying in the East, faced lesser competition to get to the finals. That's just a reality. But it's an interesting thing when you bring it up. And George, what are your religious beliefs? This is the last question we have. Very interesting. I certainly believe in some type of higher power. I certainly believe in the importance of folks having something that they believe in, having some type of connection to their essence, their aura, their spirit, whatever you would call it. Am I the type of guy that will sit there and go to church? Hell no. I mean, obviously. Am I the type of guy that is a great supporter of organized religion? Absolutely not. Do I think that people get ridiculous in the way that they view religion specifically, but not exclusively, let's say a Christianity, where it's hey, every time something goes well in my life, I thank God, but as soon as everything goes wrong, or even one thing goes wrong in my life, it's my fault or everybody else, but I praise God for giving me the strength to go through it. Like, it's the epitome, the definition of a control mechanism of an abusive relationship. Like, if people actually remove their emotions and feelings, which is really hard for them to do when it comes to their stupid religions, you would realize just like how unhealthy that relationship is and how ridiculous that sounds. Just absolutely ridiculous. That said, I'm happy when people have their beliefs. I don't think there's anything wrong about them sharing their beliefs. When they start pounding people over the head with their beliefs and thumping their books as they're yelling at gay people, or whatever the hell they're doing, or using it as an excuse to deny others' rights and liberties and so forth that are guaranteed under the Constitution. Like, that's the crap I have a problem with. Like in this country at least, like First Amendment is supposed to represent freedom of and from religion. So if people want to be atheistic, agnostic, they want to sit there and be devout Jews or Muslims or Christians or whatever the hell, everybody should have that right to do so. I do not sit there and pretend to believe like there is absolutely no higher power or spiritual, presence in this world. I've felt, experienced, seen things that lead me to understand that that's not entirely true. That there certainly is something. But I also think it's incredibly foolish of man and typical of man and egotistical of man to sit there and say, hey, who even wrote down in this book the good word and believe us, it's true. Like, leave it to man as a species. Leave it to man to try and sit there and quantify something that is so incredibly above and beyond what we would even be able to understand. So there you go. In case you ever wanted to know, you got it. Thanks everyone for submitting your questions. I enjoyed this Q&A. Lots of great questions. Fired through them kind of quickly. Thought we might have to go through 2 parts and instead got it all in one. So thank you. Subscribe. Follow me on Twitter so that way next time we do a Q&A, I can answer your questions. Later.